Why don't we get started? Great to see all of you this morning. I'm Laura Jaramillo, and we have Kate Fletcher here from the county. I'm from the city. I'm going to go first, and then Kate's got some individuals here from one of her departments that she would like to talk to us this morning. So first off, I wanted to take a moment. We haven't done this. I would like to thank Jimmy, who is our camera person, and Barbara Wesley for taking the initiative to have this here each month and doing such a professional job of capturing these meetings, and I think it's very helpful for our community and for our citizens. So thank you, Jimmy. Do a great job. The city is working on getting some quotes for additional shutoff valves, and that's water shutoff valves. Our problem is that if we have a water leak in an area of town, many times we're having to shut off several streets and even whole neighborhoods to fix that leak. And so I'd really like for us to increase the number of valves out there so that we're not impacting so many people when we have a water leak, which we had one in the middle of the night last night in your street, and they just got the water on at 6:30 this morning. I was surprised because usually it takes about 4 hours, and somebody on Facebook was like, when are they going to turn the water on? I'm like, it's not on. And so then finally I got a text message saying it was on. So the real nightmare is when it's over by the hotels. And there is only one shut off there, and it shuts off all the hotels on the east end of town, and Walmart, Taco Bell, I think, is on a different system, but it shuts off a lot of businesses, and so that always stresses me. And I know the water crew gets pretty irritated with me because they'll be sending messages, we're turning the water off at 9:30, and I'm like, don't you dare. 9:30 in the morning, that's when people are leaving their hotel and they need to shower. I don't care if it's flooding out there, leave it on. So we're gonna work on getting more shut-offs so that we don't have to shut off such a big area, that maybe it's just one hotel.
It's really good for phone calls. Really good.
Good.
Because it was a warning that we were not going to have water, so I had time to fill a pail.
Yeah, so that's the Code Red program, and we are tied into the county. So we just got a quote. We are going to also buy into the Code Red, the city is, because the county has their emergency manager, and that poor guy, he's the one that puts out all the Code Reds. So whatever time of day or night. And we're realizing after about a year, that's a lot for one person. So we're going to buy into the system.
He's all right.
You're like, he can do that. and so we probably will buy in, and then we can also help him put out those messages and then try to get more people to subscribe. So if you subscribe to Code Red, you can subscribe to get a phone call on a landline, an email, a text message. There's a couple of different avenues that you'll get a warning.
I strongly suggest to do that.
Yeah.
It does help.
You can get just one kind, or you can have it send you all, and it will tell you where the outage is. And so I think we're trying, and then we also put it on Facebook. We're trying as much as possible to keep the citizens informed. A lot of it is just not knowing. If you know your water is going to be off, you can kind of make adjustments to take care of business. We also we watch where we have leaks in the same areas. And so a couple of years ago when I first came on, we were having a lot of leaks on Truman and Sage. And so we replaced those water lines. The last couple of months, we've had a lot of leaks on Dixie and Davis. So I've asked our crews, we didn't typically budget it, but we do have a fund for things that come up, unexpected things. I've asked them to get a quote because those residents are ready to shoot us because their water's been off about every other week. And so we just need to replace those lines. They're in bad shape. What happens is we get a leak and they go and fix it, but then there's other weak spots along the line that then they burst, And so it just kind of moves down the line a little ways. We are working on getting monitors for our City Hall chamber, and we're going to have 3 big TV screens basically, so that people sitting in the audience will be able to see the council packets as they go through them. And we feel like that will give you a better opportunity to see the reports they're looking at and the documents they're looking at, or presentations. So a couple of our staff have been working on that. We also got new chairs for the council so that you can see them and see us, me too. I'm one of the shorter ones, so we look like we're sitting like this at the counter, because the counter is higher than the chairs. So we got higher chairs. The mayor doesn't like his, so he already pulled his out. It's not soft enough, but the rest of us, you'll be able to see us. You might not be able to see the mayor. We were one of 10 communities across the nation who got selected as a region to get some technical assistance to help us come up with some strategies to focus on marketing outdoor adventure in our community, and how can we spur that, how can we support that and develop resources.
Everybody needs to know that's a really big deal. That's huge, and I wanted to congratulate you.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
It was good.
You know, Evan from the COG, who is a master grant writer, he's the one that actually put our application together for our region. And so we have a wonderful team that's going to be working together, and there will be community meetings where you will be asked to come and give your feedback, but it'll be led by a national group. And they're gonna, bring in, we won't probably get a lot of resources, but they did tell me that once you're in this realm, you are highlighted and the resources tend to come to you. So nationally.
It's huge. 10 out of nation, and Grant's got it. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So well done.
Well, and the county, this village, we had the Forest Service part of that, the chamber, Main Street. There was a huge group that came together that participated in a conference call with the national team, and we really impressed them. And after we had that call, I felt good, and I just knew we were going to be picked because there was such synergy among our group and enthusiasm. So watch for those announcements coming in the next 6 months. We're working on putting GPS units on all city vehicles, and many organizations have gone to that, and we've been very concerned sometimes on where our staff are, how long they're staying there, what are they really doing, and so we feel like it'll be an opportunity to keep everybody honest, and we'll know exactly where everybody's at, if they're at their work sites or if they're at home watching TV, or if they're, where everybody's working. The cemetery will be getting an urn wall before long, and we wanted to purchase an urn wall so that we could start looking at that option for citizens. And so the wall will be about 4 foot high, but the purpose of those are to be able to start going up instead of out, because we have limited space in the cemetery. And so we're interested to see how that works out. We also are working on redoing the front of the cemetery, and we're not looking at spending much money, but we just want to make the front of the cemetery a little more appealing. It has some basically metal pipes as the entrance, and it's not very appealing, and the cemetery, I think, is beautiful. And so we're going to spend a little bit of money to spruce that up and make it a little nicer looking. We just got our first payment from GRT for online payments, and we got $8,000 for the month of July. And so that might be about what we get each month, is $8,000. So what was happening when people buy stuff from Amazon or online, we don't get any GRT from that. And our state has worked to capture that, but it was all going to the state. So now the state's going to be divvying that out to our community. So that'd be really great.
So that's, is that for just online purchases?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for 1 month. So that's impressive. That'll help. We're working on, you've probably seen throughout town, a couple of years ago, we put out those wayfinding signs so people knew where they were going. We're gonna put a couple more. We already have frames that we have in storage, and the signs don't cost very much, but one thing we're gonna focus on is letting people know where the dog park is. People have brought that up, that there's many citizens that don't know where it's at, and definitely our tourists don't know where it's at. So we'll have some new signs out that tell you where the dog park is. And then I put on your tables for the month of September the animal care stats. And I just wanted you to get an idea, and I think, you know, until I came onto the city, I had no clue how many animals are brought in there, but we average, and of course it fluctuates a lot, but for the month of September, 147 animals came in there. And to me, that is just outrageous. And if you look at 28 of those were owner surrendered. Some were brought in by owners that needed to be euthanized, and usually it's because they're ill or elderly and not doing well at all, and it's time to put them down. Stray was 87, so it kind of shows you too the breakout grants, the county, Laguna, Milan. We work with the county and Milan, and the county has a couple of their own officers. Milan has a control officer. We have 4 right now, and what we did, we've done a couple of different things at the shelter trying to figure out what works best, but this fiscal year I did away with the secretary position and made that a control officer. And the reason for that is if we're short-staffed, the secretary can't help pick up animals. She typically is not going to help clean the kennels. But a control officer can do it all. And I figure they can do secretarial work as well. So we have all of the officers answering the phone and doing the cards on the animals, all the paperwork, and I feel like this will be much better if we lose a staff. We've had a lot of turnover at the shelter, and as you can imagine, very hard place to work, both physically and mentally. And so the turnover's been quite a lot, so we've struggled with that.
Can I make a comment?
Yes.
I do live in the county, but I see you have county numbers.
Uh-huh.
And we live outside of San Rafael, and I used to walk there a lot. And like, no kidding, our neighborhood was just being terrorized by stray dogs, and an owner who says she has a kennel. But anyway, so I was so encouraged because my neighbor the other day had said, "You didn't have to turn that." But my neighbor, a young guy, he said, "I just caught 13 dogs." I said, "What?" And he was working with the county and with one of those cages, and apparently got 13 dogs brought in, and it's for literally years now, and I've lived out there 21. I could not walk my neighborhood, and at night we heard all these dogs barking, and I just assumed they were, you know, people's pets. And but the barking has gone way down now because these dogs have been picked up. I was so inspired that, wow, you know, one person, and I'm sure that the dog, what do you call them, the animal control officers, can really make such a difference, because there's worse problems, so I kind of gave up calling. But I was just so encouraged because I was really feeling hopeless about it all. And we had a dog, and one of the neighbor's dogs that has all these dogs had killed another dog in our garage one year. But anyway, so thank you. You know, it really makes a difference for our quality of life. You know?
Yes.
And I love dogs, but you know, we can't have all these stray dogs and people terrorizing, literally bullying the neighborhood.
Yeah.
The person lets them out at certain times. They know when the dog catchers are there.
Yeah,
Yeah, they
I
do.
bet.
We have a JPA, so the grants actually takes the lead, and they actually control the actual operation of the animal shelter. But we as annual JPA, we give them money, and then we do, like Laura said, we have officers out there to assist.
Yeah, and they really work well with our officers, and
They have to.
I know a couple of times when we've been short-staffed, they've helped fill in for things that our officers typically did. So It's a good thing. We just need to really, I'd like to get a program going where we're out in the schools educating the public more about spay and neuter. Until we get a grip on the spay and neuter, we're going to continue to have this overload in the shelter with all these animals coming in, and we just gotta, you know, I think many of you'd be appalled at how some people treat the animals and then, yeah, just don't take care of them.
They did give me a $25 coupon to use when I got mine spayed.
Yes, yes, they give out coupons for the veterinarian, yes. So, just wanted to encourage you, if you have a little time and space, to visit the shelter and offer maybe to take a foster pet until they find homes. So they're always looking for foster homes, for especially sometimes they get in a mama with a bunch of puppies, and the shelter's really not a good place, you know, for them as the puppies are getting established. So, and that's it for me today.
Okay, thank you, Laura. So, thanks guys, welcome, good morning. I'm kind of still asleep, but I thought you're always listening to me, and I'd like to think that maybe you'd like to listen to another department's achievements and what they've been doing. The assessors are here, Dolores is here with her chief deputy and Brianna, and I'm just gonna turn them over to you. They're gonna be explaining what they've done this year and what they're looking forward to. I'm letting you know that I'm really, really impressed with what they have done. It's amazing. And I actually went to one of their trainings yesterday. Well, I stepped in and listened, and it was so neat to look at all these different employees working together, communicating, understanding within separate departments, coming together and trying to help the community understand what they do and why. So, Dolores, come on in. I'm moving. I am not going to be here.
Oh, I thought I could probably just...
No. But thank you guys. Come on, you two too. All of you. See 3 chairs. 3 chairs.
Good morning.
Thank you, Kate, for inviting us. It was a last-minute deal, but we got it put together. Again, thank you all. Some of the things that we have done and I've really focused on, one of my biggest deals when I ran was employee training. And I'm following through with that as far as sending everybody to trainings that are required by the state. One of the trainings that are required are IAAA trainings, International Association of Assessing Officers. And a lot of these trainings are required by the state for some of the employees to pass in order to do their appraisals. I currently went to one, Brianna went to one, and 2 of my other staff members, we were in Socorro. It was the one, I think we're in Las Cruces, it was Socorro. And we did pass, so they were really intense classes, full-day classes for a whole week.
They're not very, very difficult. A lot of people don't pass.
No, they're very, very difficult to pass, and I'm very pleased that I don't know how I did it, but I did it. I can understand Brianna and everybody else doing it. They're a lot younger. They retain more information. So I'm very pleased to say I do offer those trainings to my employees as well, to kind of keep them updated. Another thing that I really am proud of is we've met all the 2019 deadlines that are required by the state. From our annual report, that was something that was never presented to the commission and the public. And we did that. Our certifications were on time. We sent our abstracts out just recently and we were on time. We transferred our tax roll over to the treasurer's office on time. So you guys will be getting your bills on time, hopefully. So I'm very pleased to say that we did. Did I meet any other deadlines? Or notice of values were on time. Those went out April 1st, and we were on time with that. So I'm very, very pleased. And I commend my staff for doing that. They really worked hard at trying to meet all these deadlines. And we did it. Another thing that we're doing is we're still working with Property Tax Division on reappraisal of all our land reappraisal land projects. That includes residential, vacant land, commercial. This is something I think that there was a lot of mistakes on a lot of the land values. So now we're trying to correct them, and we are working with the state on getting them done. That does affect a lot of people in a lot of ways because sometimes their land was not valued as what it should be. So we're just bringing it to current and correct, and that's what we need to do. Okay? Department trainings, again, we had an in-house training with the treasurer's office, and this was really good training. This is something that really has never been done either. We met with the treasurers prior to them getting their bills out, kind of like an informative session as to how our department affects their department, what our duties are. Do you want to put some input on that as well?
Just how the offices affect each other. Dolores is coming from the treasurer's office, so she understands what was lacking on that side, and now that she's in the assessor's office, she's understanding the process and why. So it's important to get the two offices together to understand why we do what we do and what is needed, so that they can pull it over and use it on their side. And a lot of people actually didn't even know how taxes were calculated until we closed that door yesterday. So it was really good training.
It was, and we anticipate doing this every year, meeting with them and just kind of exchanging information from one department to the other. So I was very pleased with that training.
Add something to Lois to this, because it's also, it's with the treasurer and the assessor have two big jobs, and they have to connect at property tax at certain times of the year. But it's also helping the community, because there's been a lot of, what I've noticed, and we've all noticed and discussed it, is people come to pay or want to have services within the county, i.e. either assessors or treasurers or clerks. And it's kind of confusing because you don't really know what each department does. So with them working together, it's going to really help the people, because they're going to be able to know exactly where they need to go. They're not going to just say, oh, this is the wrong department, you need to go here. Every department is going to know where they can take them and make sure they get their stuff done that they wanted to get done. And so that's what I'm really excited about. It's actually showing that we're learning, that we're caring, and we've got service. And they do a great job. I've had so many phone calls saying, this is the first time I've been in the assessor's office, and they really helped me, and I got answers. I've had multiple phone calls, so I just wanted to address that part of it. So.
Thank you. Again, if we don't know the answer, we'll help you find the answer. We'll direct you to which department you need to go to get your answer. Another thing, touching on that, another thing Kathy and I were discussing, and this is some time back, that we're wanting to have like a public forum with the treasurers and the assessors, inviting the public, so that we can inform the public as to how each department works, as far as like, sometimes I know working in the treasurer's office as well, we get the flack for not changing addresses in the treasurer's office. It's like, okay, you know, you got my address wrong, and treasurers don't do that, the assessors do. A lot of information, I think. So with this public forum, we look forward to having it possibly in the springtime, just informing the public as to what duties each department holds. So we are going to continue with the trainings and educating the public. And with the taxpayer education, another thing that I'm very pleased of what I did with my notice of values this year. If you guys received my notice of value, you noticed in there that there was a flyer. And on that flyer, it kind of described the exemptions that are out there for the taxpayer, just a brief overview. And I'll let Brianna touch on this one because she got the flyer together. She did an excellent job on it. And this is the first time actually too that I'm very pleased to say that an insert was put into the notice of values.
Okay. It just briefly explains how your notice of value works, how your bill is calculated based on your full assessed value of your property. It also explains how exemptions work. Many people may qualify for certain exemptions. We have head of family exemption, we have a veterans exemption, we have 100% disabled veterans exemption. We also have a low income value freeze for those that make less than $32,000 a year and are either fully disabled or 65 and older. If you do feel you may qualify for any of these or you want more information, please stop by our office. We can go over your account, we can see if you qualify, and help ultimately save you some money off of your taxes. Okay?
So I was very pleased with that again. Another thing that this is the first year that this has ever happened as well, and this was another thing that I touched on when I decided to run for assessor, was a Veterans Outreach Program. And we are going to have a Veterans Outreach meeting, and it'll be held November 12th at the Knights Columbus. And this meeting will, I'm hoping to get the veterans out there, the ones that haven't applied for their veterans exemption. We will go over the process of how to file for that exemption. Also, we're going to have a veterans outreach person from Santa Fe there as well to help as well. Currently in the office, veterans can go in, we help them fill out their forms, but for the ones that haven't applied, this is going to be a good program. There'll be advertisements in the paper. I think we anticipate having them up until the 12th, so we've got 2 more ads that will be coming out in the paper, informing everybody on that as well. So I'm very pleased with that. And this will be something that I anticipate doing on an annual basis. And I want to do it around November before the tax, everything goes out. So that's good. What we're looking at doing now, this is another project that we brought forward, was the Eagle View Pictometry. I'm very pleased to say this is something new. This is going to help our office tremendously on assessing property. And I'm gonna let Jenna kind of touch on this one, on the pictometry. This is a really, really, really good program that we're looking at. It's not only going to benefit us, it can benefit the city, other entities, the Village of Milan, the different departments. So this is going to be really cool.
So we got approved, the commission Kate helped us tremendously get this approved. We're going to do some flyovers the end of this month, I believe, right? The end of this month we're scheduled for. As soon as the leaves on the trees fall. So they can get some clear pictures of the county. We only did the populated areas of the county so that we can get clear pictures. It's really neat. You can zoom in, you can pull exact measurements, you can, and it's really going to limit our time out in the field. So whenever somebody comes in for a protest, we can pull up their home, measure it with them. They can see all the work that we do. It's going to help dispatch, it's going to help the sheriffs, the roads, the cities. So anybody who wants access can contact Kate or Dolores and set something up through there. It's very, very beneficial. And the pictures are, I think we are like the 10th county, the 10th county in the state of New Mexico. So Bernalillo, Sandoval, Santa Fe, those have all switched over and they've had huge success picking up value, picking up properties that, we don't typically see or find or know that are there until.
It's also safety for our employees. When they go out, they'll still go out, but they won't have to go out if they actually don't need to. So it's helping the county with payroll, with all these things. You can actually because it's so cool. It's not like you want to look through the window. That's not what you can't look through the window. It's not real life, but it is. You can do a 3D, so you can actually, the actual information that we're going to get is how big the windows are, how big the walls are, how long is it. For instance, if a law enforcement, if we have an event, an emergency event, they can actually, with the information, know exactly where the doors are, where the exits are, how long it is from there to the parking lot. It's going to be really helpful in all areas.
And again, it will save due to the fact we're not utilizing the vehicles as much. Safety for the employees is another big issue out there, because I know when I send out my appraisers, they have issues with certain individuals or animals, you know, and it does cover their safety as well. So that's going to be something that's going to be really cool. I anticipate meeting or setting up meetings with the other entities to see if they want to buy into it, which is really going to be really cool, which will benefit again the sheriff's department, schools. It's going to be really neat. It's going to be really, really neat. Another thing that we have coming up are our protests. We have protest hearings this month, the October 22nd through the 24th. We currently have 24 protests. We came down from how much? We had quite
241.
What was the average last year and the year before?
I want to say last year was double.
Yeah.
When I first came into office, which was 5 years ago, it was about 780.
So now we're down to 200 and only 24 actually going to the hearing.
to the formal hearings.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I'm very pleased with that, and we're still working on the 24. Some of them may sign off prior to that, so might even drop it even more. So I'm very pleased with that. Again, I'm very pleased. I have a good staff. These people come in, the assessors will sit with them. They go over, oh, well, my property was too high. Well, let's go over it. Let's go in detail. Let's discuss why we came up with this number. And it seems to be working pretty well. So again, the protests are the 22nd through the 24th of this month. Again, I think all in all, we've still working with the landowner, trying to make the properties current and correct, which I know they hadn't been for quite some time. We're dealing with that, but again, everything is going pretty smooth. We're working well with the other departments, and it's good. Anything else?
So for the ones that are protesting, how does that work? Do they go before a panel?
A
Now
protest.
the last 24?
Protest board.
Yeah, so whoever doesn't withdraw or does not agree with us, they'll sit before a board, which is,
So it's kind of like, if I can add to this, it's really good how so the hearing is from the state. So the state actually are the ones that are going to be the ones that actually decide. So now it's at that point that they believe that their numbers and there's no really movement or there's no errors on their end, and they have to argue that or defend themselves on their
Defend the
numbers
values.
with the hearing officer from the state and the property owner. So it's actually a very interesting process. I've been in a couple, and it's just amazing how ready they are. They have papers, they have the maps, they show you how they get the actual appraisal and how it happened. But it also gives the property owner some time to say, I get all this, or whatever it is, but it's their time to say, I don't agree and this is why. And so it's actually a proper hearing. Yes.
Again, our office is an open door policy. I have an open door policy. Feel free to stop by. You have any questions, concerns? If we can't help you, we'll direct you to someone that can.
I was wondering why we can't tax people with junky property more. Make them keep it clean by taxes.
So I can add a little bit to this. So there's
I think that has to do with the
there's
ordinance.
resolutions that are letters of support or letters of not approving. Ordinances are laws that the commission actually approved, and there's a process to get an ordinance done. With that said, we actually are working very, very hard on a monthly, daily basis now of cleaning those ordinances up, because the ordinance has been out there for years, 82, years, but there's no follow through. It's all on paper, but there's nobody doing the actual, if this happens, what happens? So not only are we going to educate with some grants that we receive, but we're also going to be saying, this is what happens if your house if your property has violated in the ordinance a certain mess, then I have a plan and a zoning officer now that will actually write letters and educate and assist, but if you have a complaint, you have someone to call. You know, you don't just go, well, they're not gonna do anything. We have to follow through with what the ordinance says. We cannot stray from what the ordinance says. If the ordinance says that all assessors have to wear purple hair, they have to wear purple hair. Just like, I'm just giving you an example of following through. Those are really important laws. That's county decision making. Those are the commissioners that say, this is important to us. We need an ordinance to say this is not going to happen. And that's happened, but it hasn't, if that happens, then what? You know, do we send pictures? Do we go talk to them? What do we do? So now we're actually putting the actual process and procedure within the ordinance. And every month we're actually amending or editing or adding new stuff to the ordinance to help such as that. So hopefully, it's a step.
Any other
I don't know if it's your department or not, but I was aware of a woman who was involved in domestic abuse and violence and stalking. And I guess it's public information about where homes are and their owners live. I don't know. Anyhow, I understand the stalker got the information from the city, I guess, or county office to go after her. Is there any way if someone gets a restraining order or is under a serious physical threat not to have the information about where they live?
It's public information. What we have in our system are names, addresses of owners, legal descriptions, values, and that is online. So they don't necessarily have to come to the office and ask for that information. It is online. Yeah, it is all public. There's nothing really that we can do to lock that out because it is public information.
Is that on the county website or is
Mhm.
it?
And you can get it monthly too.
Yeah.
On the website.
Yeah. You can get on the assessor site and type in an address and it'll pull up a map and see who owns that piece of property and
It's through the GIS.
Also work the other way, can you put in a name? and
yes,
again?
a name, you can put a name and
You
address.
can put in a name and address and find out any of the opposites. If you put in an address, you can find out the name, the owner, the location, and then you can connect to the GIS, which will actually bring you a picture
Zoom
of
you
the
in.
property.
It'll zoom you in.
And that's all public information. The only thing that the assessor's office does not release to the public is sales. And that's the only thing that we are not allowed to release.
Yeah, it is public. Any other questions?
With the phone book, at old times, you could make your name unlisted.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it is
By
public.
statute, I'm afraid
Yeah.
there's a lot of things we'd love to not do because we have a lot of information in each department, but it's public record and you cannot not give it. We even have ICRIT, like I've been talking, if someone just wants all the information, we only have 3 days to respond and 15 days to give that information to the person. And it could be anything you can think of, we have to give. And have you been listening to the news about the opioid litigation through National? We're in it too. And the reason why these lawyers have come together and asked counties is because of all the information we have, all the data that have been collected that we have to collect. It took about, altogether we counted about 22 hours with 4 people of research to give the information to those attorneys to assist. But we are in that litigation listing. There's 13 counties that are in. But that's just a prime example. They pulled a good resource to the county because of laws, because of statutes that we have to follow. Think about the clerk's office. They record everything, everything, from a resolution to a letter, to a sale, to a deed, to an easement. Everything is in that software system. And so it was just an eye-opener for me of how much information we as a county and every county has.
How is it pertinent to opioids?
They were asking certain questions like how many people have overdosed, how many mental health-wise. I'm sure that Lori knows more than me, but we had to pull in calls, people, prisoners, inmates, pharmacy bills, everything that's pertaining to the drug use. They requested that information.
I thought mental health issues were especially confidential.
There's no names. It's just all the information, all the data. We have numbers, we have expenses. That's why we have our line items for detention, taking care of detention inmates, pharmaceutical expenses. So we have all that information in month by month. So you can actually draw it down to every month.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions?
I have a city question.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about the wastewater treatment plant? Because there were two ongoing discussions earlier this year. One was about the Cease the Grease program.
Mm-hmm.
And the other one was that it was suggested that the single-use plastic bags could affect the operations because they can get sucked into the system somehow.
Mm-hmm.
So those two, any updated information that you have?
Yeah, our code enforcement office is periodically going out and monitoring more so restaurants to make sure that they're using some kind of grease disposal system that's not our sewer system.
Right.
And so if they find that people are dumping grease in the system, they will get a fine. And we haven't really focused on plastic bags. It's amazing when you go tour the plant and you look at what they clean out of the system, what people throw in that are flush. All kinds of plastic wrappers and all kinds of stuff. But that's typical. I think they've dealt with that for years. So they have screens that filter out a lot of that before it gets into the treatment part.
But as far as the household grease, that's not an issue then?
No, that is more a minimal amount. So I think you're going to see more educational information going out. The projects and code enforcement, we're passing out spatulas that had some information on that about not disposing your grease down the sink. So I think they'll continue to try to market and educate the public. If you go to a movie in Albuquerque, they have a big campaign that you'll see on their commercials, in their movie commercials, about not putting grease down the drains. So our new plant doesn't handle grease as well as the old one did because of the type of plant it is. So it's something we've got to work on as a community to make sure we're not getting much grease in the system. Keep it healthy.
I have a question for Kate. I was wondering, could you get an update on the old county building there on High Street, like
Where it's going?
yeah.
Yeah, so landscaping, I'm sure you've seen the difference between now and then, which it was very good. It was the local landscaper, it was quiet, and they did a fantastic job. So that building is nearly empty. We have dispatch in there, and we have the emergency management in there. So we're still working on the RFP, the moving from dispatch to the district to our building. That's in the works, it's moving. We have a year to accomplish that. Once that's happening, our goal is to consolidate, to have that closed, and then it will be up to the commissioner what they want to do with their property. And it'll be at that time that they'll decide. We also have the detention center that we've had people interested in buying. I I know the magistrate is looking for property to build their own magistrate court in town rather than out. And when that happens, we're still working on the planning of moving the sheriff's office up to our property. So all our departments will be on Roosevelt. And that's, so it's empty. It's still costing us a lot of money to keep it open.
Aren't there 3 smaller entities in there?
There's extension services, and then there's workforce, and there's a veterans, what is it? That's part-time, and we actually just give that to assist. So when we do decide that we have to say we cannot afford that property, we will have to figure out, or everybody will have to figure out where those entities go.
Want to come back over here? Thank you.
I appreciate that, very interesting.
Yeah. Is there anything else, any other topics that you all want to bring up or make suggestions?
Can I just say something?
Sure.
On the opioid lawsuits, what this is about is the Attorney General's office has taken on a lawsuit against these pharmaceutical companies. So they've asked all of these different counties to jump on board, and it's due to all the deaths that have happened in those counties. Because of the chemical compound in these opioid drugs that change the brain chemical and make the body dependent. So where the person tries to get off these chemicals, off these opioids, it's virtually impossible without medical help and mental health. So right now we're working on a project since we've started. I got on with a new program that's called the CHI, Center for Health Innovation, and we're with the New Mexico Public Health Institute. So we're working on another grant. I mean, we're still working with the Office of Substance Abuse Prevention, which is our funders, but we're working with another grant. So we're asking folks, anybody that wants to jump on with this, we're doing a focus group. So anybody that has any information or wants to help out with breeding programs that have to do with opioid abuse, misuse, and overdose. So we have a focus group that will be taking place on the 25th of October. So if anybody's interested, please let me know. And you can give your input as to what you think needs to be done, how we should go about this. Any input that you have, please let me know so we can get you on board with this focus group. And we'll be going to Roswell, but if we get enough folks that might be interested, I'm going to ask if we could just have a Zoom conference, and we could probably have a lot of folks like here attend this Zoom conference over the computer, or we could set up a screen or something. So so if anybody's interested also in getting in with our coalition, we meet every 4th Thursday of the month. We're going to be meeting at the library at hopefully, and times change, but we'd like to have the community involved because this is a huge problem we have. But I will say this, because we've worked with the schools, we've gone in and done presentations at the 2 high schools and the Los Alamitos Mid School, and we've gone and done parent education, we've done teacher education. Our numbers are dropping from between 2011 through 2017. Our YRRS data showed that 15%, which is quite a bit, of our youth was using substances using the opioid substances to get high. Okay, not to say we don't have a huge amount still, but they have dropped from 15% to 9%, and that's huge. And I do believe it's because of education within the last couple years. However, we do still have a lot of work to do, because the most important part is to keep our community safe, to save lives. And this data that she's talking about, you can get that data on the New Mexico Department of Health. Yes. And I do have that data. If anybody ever wants some of that data, I can provide that for you, as far as how high and what substances are being used, and and that's open to the public, and I have that data. So we just have to continue working. So if anybody's interested in jumping on board with our coalition, and anybody interested in jumping on board with this opioid grant that it's not coming to the county.
county, but it is coming to New Mexico, and it's to help our communities. So we just need the public input as to what we might need and want to bring.
Thank you.
I just want to comment too, I was at that meeting at the library, and I'm excited about the new Whistle Stop. Is it a cafe or coffee shop?
Yes.
Yeah, do we have any idea when it might open?
Soon. They had said October 1st, but then now I think they were getting a couple of the machines worked on and working, so anytime now it should be opening. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it's very inviting. I'm happy for grants in our county to have that.
Yeah, I think so too.
I got a question, I guess they're putting in a solar farm or something here? What company is that?
That's a project with Continental Divide. Is our electric company is helping facilitate that project. They're working with a solar company, and of course, energy companies are encouraged to try to do a little bit of green energy among their resources, and so at a lot of points, solar energy was more expensive than other forms of electric energy, and so Continental Divide didn't take on that option till now, and I think the cost of solar's come down enough. It's competitive with the coal industry providing electricity. So this solar farm is going to hook into the transformers that Continental Divide have and provide a very small portion of our energy, but they're looking at hiring only 2 people once it's built. Yeah, so that's definitely our concern, as we're wanting more jobs.
So speaking about jobs and concerns, obviously there's only so much coal at the mine right now. And, I worked out there for a lot of years, and it's gonna die here. I mean, I can't say because I don't work out there anymore, but I know it's pretty quick.
Yeah.
What is being done now? Because it's let's just say it's 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a seed getting planted now so we can have some kind of economic growth for the employees there? Because it's a domino effect. You have the coal, you have the power plant, you have the paper mill. I can't speak for what all is going on there, but it's going to be a domino effect where you're going to see 4 or 5 years where the government's going to start to freak out, and it affects everybody from small business to the larger businesses in our community. So what is being done right now, because it's going to hurt here soon, and we can't be like where we were 4 years ago when they had a layoff of 60 people and everyone was freaking out. They had a layoff, of course, the prisons in Milan, everyone was freaking out. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? Is it being said right now in public, we need something, and what is happening?
Yeah, Kate may know more of the details, but I know our region is working. The Council of Governments got a big grant, and I don't remember what it's called, but it's to help transition to other opportunities beyond coal.
You're absolutely correct. We have been thinking and talking and putting things on paper to put plans in place. So yes, this is when we're doing the forecast of 5 to 10 years. That's where we're at as a county. So economic growth is really, really important on everybody's level. But we have to think outside the box. You can't just sit there and go, well, we need this and we need that. Do we? We need to do data. We need to look at the information and see how many. For instance, the solar system, you made a good point. You said all that, and it's 2 people. That's not going to help the economic growth. We understand why they're doing that, but we, as a county and people, the community has to get together too. They've got to come and help us, because it affects everyone. I have a little group that we've been working on. We have the Economic Development Organization, was it? So she actually does a lot of studying. She studies a lot of other areas and what's been working. We, as a county, have been sitting down on a weekly basis and pulling people's ideas from different communities and trying to figure out how we can not just address this area, but address the land. What can we do for everyone? But we're not going to be fixes for everything. We need people talking. We need to think outside the box. We need to sit down and say, you know, like, do we need a meat processing plant? That came up. You know, that's jobs. And it's, we are with the freeway and the railroad. So are we not talking about it? You know, we're talking about it. And we are concerned. But we need to have a bigger, we need to bring everybody together. The forecast plan, which we're going to do workshops, that's what we need to discuss. How much money are we going to put into studying? What are we going to do? Where does the commission or the county want to be? Do we want to go to, we've written letters to large companies throughout the nation. We've just started this. I've directed some people to pull companies that actually get a benefit for coming into rural areas. But we've been writing letters, and I know you guys have too, to large companies. You know, think big, and maybe we'll get something. So it doesn't hurt to write a nice letter and say, this is what we have to offer. So we've been doing that. We have had a few phone calls actually, and we're meeting some people next week near Fence Lake. So you know, you never know. It doesn't hurt. We'll just continue to do it. But when we do those workshops, that's when we need input. We need ideas.
No, that's great. That's why I asked, because you know everybody that's sitting out right here, I bet 90% they're thinking, what are we going to do? But as long as you know that it's public, that there is the government that we have here is working towards trying to help out the community, because sometimes we go quiet for so long and no one knows what's going on, and then all of a sudden something happens and then we start pointing fingers. But at least you know it's out there that you guys are trying to help out the community. So thank you.
Yeah, we probably need to publicize that more and kind of keep the public informed on what's being worked on to help, you know, so we don't have a panic when we have more layoffs.
We're quietly panicking, yes.
Yeah, we are.
I agree with that. People are panicking. If you drive around, you'll see a lot of homes for sale, a lot of folks are moving out.
Actually, we're having more selling. We've sold more. You think that, and I thought that, but when I look at the actual realtors and how many properties have been sold in the last 5 months, whew, and I don't know why. So if you guys know, let me know. And the GRT is going up too, so if you guys know what's going on, let me know, because I don't. Do you know?
No.
How about this guy? Is he going to ever do anything? He's cleaned it up.
He's private, and he's got his plan, and he's paid his taxes, and hopefully he will be getting...
This group has met with the city a couple of times now in the last 6 months, and they're wanting us to guarantee 500 acre feet of water, which is a lot, for 25 years. And we're not at the point where we're willing to do that. And they have 4 different companies. The company has 4 different names, and that's a little suspicious to me. So it's like we're trying to come up with an agreement, but who are we really dealing with? None of the 4 companies that were brought up, and please don't put this in the paper, are in good standing with the state, according to our attorney, and none of them, they're just not in good standing. They haven't done their corporate reports, so we're not going to sign an agreement with a company that is not in good standing and is questionable. So I haven't heard from them for a couple of weeks now, so I don't know if we made them mad, but we want something to happen there, but we want it to be legitimate and on the up and up, and we don't want to get caught where we're making promises to a group that's going to come in and leave a bunch of unpaid bills like last time.
Yeah, thank you, Dolores.
Yeah.
You know exactly what she's talking about, don't you?
Oh, yeah, I definitely do.
Yeah.
2nd Street, awesome. It's like you drive down it, and just on one side, like, is this really happening? You have a street.
Right.
So question is they're going to be finished with that one. When's First Street going to happen?
I'm not sure now, because initially they had to put it out for bid again because the bids came in really high. So they put it out again, and I think the council will award one soon, but we're getting really close to winter, so I suspect they'll wait till spring to start. But we should be hearing real soon. We obtained some additional dollars. The bid The bid was about $1 million more than we were anticipating. So we're trying to approach the EPA to see if they'll pay for part of that, because the bid is high because of the chlorinated plume on First Street. We're gonna have to remove and put new dirt, and that's about $800,000 worth of work because of the plume site. So we're wondering if they would foot the bill for that, so it won't hurt to ask. They may say, nope, we can't do that, but they might say, yeah, that's part of our responsibility.
Doesn't Santa Fe look nice, the road? Since I've been here now, and from when I first moved here, it looks really nice. It's
You
looking
know,
nice.
last coffee, I think Judith and Vika was saying that she could tell a difference. We have a litter crew now. 3 individuals that work 20 hours a week to pick up litter, and I was like, I'm not seeing it yet, but this last weekend we had our community cleanup, and that morning I went around to try to see where we could have people go clean, and I had a hard time finding spots that normally are really full of trash. I was like, hey, they are making a difference. And then we cleaned a road that we had done the year before, and I think we got about 1/4 of the trash on that one area that I had worked on the year before, and gotten so much trash. So I said, you know, they really are making a difference. So good.
And I love the way they cut the trees on Santa Fe. You know, how they trim them down on the bottom? That's what I was telling my husband,
Yeah.
look at this looks so nice.
Yeah. We're not going to cut them all the way down, though, if they're blocking your sign. But we've had a lot of controversy over that. People saying they're blocking business signs. Well, any community you go to, you'll see that. And the trees add a lot of beauty to the main street.
Well, it's not so much as blocking signs, but there's times there's bushes or trees that are blocking your view of oncoming traffic.
Well,
We
those
got that a lot,
definitely
so.
we have to fix, yes. Yeah. We don't want to block the vision, for sure. Yeah. Okay, anything else? No? Well, have a great,
Thank you, guys.
great rest of the week. Thank you all for coming. Thanks.
Thanks.